The following program is sponsored by The Greek, Ely's Radio Shack dealer at 570 Altman in downtown Ely, and brought to you as a public service by Georgetown Media in Ely, Nevada. Ely Municipal Utility Board meeting, January 14th, 2021.
Municipal Utilities Board calls the meeting to order. Follow me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Vice Chairman Burbidge.
Present.
Member Ross.
Here.
Member Lilly.
Present.
Councilman Carson.
Here.
City Treasurer Trask. Here. Public Works Supervisor Crickraft.
Here.
That's all, Vice Chairman.
Okay, public comment. Comments not exceeding 3 minutes in length will be accepted from the general public in attendance. If any are made, there may be discussion upon these comments. No vote, decision, or action may be taken upon the matters raised under this item until it is formally placed on the agenda. Comments during discussion items will be accepted from the general public. Section 7.05 of the Nevada Open Meeting Law manual indicates that the public body may prohibit comment if the content of the comments is a topic that is not relevant to or within authority of the public body, or if the content of the comments is willingly disruptive of the meeting by being irrelevant, repetitious, slanderous, offensive, inflammatory, irrational, or amounting to personal attacks or interfering with the rights of other speakers. That said, is there any public comment? George? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the fire hydrant on the corner of Avenue K and Great Basin was not reinstalled back far enough to allow proper width of Avenue K when Great Basin is repaved and the curb and gutter is installed. Again, code. Where's your engineer? Where's your staff at? Mr. Chairman, the billing for my property located at 490 High Street has not been corrected to date. I paid the landfill billing for all the time that I had the property, including the penalties. You've treated others differently and removed their penalties and interest. You've not done that to me. I've been diligent in telling you of the discrepancies, yet you continue to misbill me. My most recent bill now is $1,367.77. Yet I pay every month. You need to hire a person with a degree in accounting as required by Ely City Code. I remind you, one of the charges is $746 for outside capital improvement. There's no such animal that never had any water on that property for years. Someone's stupid. Someone needs to correct it. Mr. Chairman, on the corner of Ogden and Crawford, a new meter box was installed 11.5 feet from the property line and a couple of bollards near it. Did Keith Carson pay for the bollards? Why didn't he put in curb and gutter to protect the meter box and stop the erosion in the area? If he puts in curb and gutter 4 feet from the property line, the meter box and the bollards are going to be out another 7.5 feet. Where's your engineer at? Someone's not doing their job and they need to get canned. Mr. Carson is or was a contractor and should know better. The bollards are located more than 4 feet from the property line, are potential hazards located in the city right away. What are you going to do with your snow plows? Where's your building inspector? Mr. Chairman, 11.5 feet, can't do that. Mr. Chairman, is the city notified Mount Leader Power that they have to move some of their power poles on Murray Street and the blocks where the new water and sewer lines are going in? In some areas, poor minimum handicap ADA passage is not available. There is not a 36-inch clearance for a wheelchair to pass through. Along other areas, there is only 1.5 foot passageway for a pedestrian to walk through without having to step out in the street. This needs to be addressed before any curb gutter or sidewalk is replaced or installed along the project area. Where's your building inspector? Still sleeping in Eureka? Mr. Chairman, at numerous and several previous meetings, I've reported that numerous RVs, possibly squatters, were setting up throughout the city. Again, I'm asking, how many of them did you build for landfill, water, sewer? Here's some new ones. When's it going to stop? This one is on Mr. Carson's property, which is for trailers, and yet an RV. Where's the special permit?
Thank you, George.
I got fined. There were two of my tenants got tickets for $355. You can't selectively enforce the law.
Thanks, George.
I want some answers.
Anybody else for public comment? If not, we'll go on to item 3 for discussion and possible action, consent agenda. These items may be approved in one motion by the board as its first action of business under the discussion possible action items. Approval of the consent agenda approves each of these items. The only item on there is the minutes from December 10th, 2020, and I wasn't present. So is John on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Any discussion?
No discussion. I move we approve.
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. B, old business. Board members, Robinson, Nevada Mining Company representative. Is Frederick's not here?
Hey, Gail, can you hear
Yes.
me? Okay.
Update on the utility board of the Robinson, Nevada Mine Development, Ruth Pit, and water mitigation efforts within the city of Ely.
So I received an email from Frederick this morning. Hello, Jennifer. I will not be able to, let me just come up to the microphone.
Frederick is on. I sent an email to Jennifer, so she's got it, so she can read it on my behalf.
Thank you, Frederick.
Thank you.
We have found that people in the room can hear me back there without a microphone, but when we go to re-listen to the Zoom audio, it's hard to hear me, so. Hello, Jennifer. I will not be able to attend this morning utility board meeting in person. I am by this email providing you an update on old business, item B1, roof pit development and water mitigation efforts within the city of Ely. The mine continues to mine from the roof pit complex. Here is a breakdown of fresh water dewatering effort from the pit. Number 1, about 8,119 gallons per minute is being pumped. RW7P accounts for 1,515 gallons per minute, which is sent to the city of Ely. 2, about 3,243 gallons per minute is going into Gleason Creek. 3, the rest is going to the mill for ore processing. I should also note that the mill was down yesterday for a period of 14 hours for preventative maintenance. During this period, about 8,000 gallons per minute of fresh water was discharged into Gleason Creek. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, Frederick.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm here. If there are any questions related to what you read, I will be able to answer. Thank you.
So you want to have any questions of Frederick?
No.
No question.
So no questions, Frederick. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
We'll move on to C, new business. Board members, city clerk Lee, discussion for possible action, election of chairman through December 31, 2021. I'd like to nominate John O'Flaherty. He's done an excellent job.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
agree.
Wholeheartedly.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Move on to the...
Aye.
Thanks, John. Move on number 2, discussion on possible action, election of vice chairman through December 31st, 2021.
I say we keep it the same.
I'd like to nominate Dale Burbidge for vice chairman.
I approve.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Number 3, board members, city engineer Olmberg, discussion for possible action. Recommendation to approve will serve application for White Pine County Corral Association for a new sewer connection at the city, Ely City Corrals. Applicant is requesting fee waiver.
In 0.5 miles, turn right to I-15 north towards Salt Lake.
Good morning. The corrals are looking to make a small little building improvement down there to provide some services to the animals down there. And with it, they need a sewer connection for minor facilities that are inside that.
In 0.2 miles, turn right to I-15 north towards Salt Lake.
She's mad at you too.
For the small facilities that be going inside that building. And so they already have a water connection down there, so this is only strictly for a service connection. So I recommend approval. We have the service, the sewer capacity to handle it, and I recommend approval. If you have any other questions for me.
So they also want to waive the connection fee. What was the connection fee? It's 1,700. Yes, sir.
I'm president of the Corral Association, Kent Lansky.
If you could take down your mask while you're speaking, please, so that we can.
Okay. Kent Lansky, president and Corral boss down there. And we're trying to put in a vet building. I've hauled 3 horses to Salt Lake and come back with 1. It's just too far to haul. So if we had a facility to do surgery and take care of our animals down there, that's what we're striving for. And where it's county and city property, and we have a lease for 20 years. That's where we're headed.
But is the building on the city or the county property?
It's by the arena. I have no clue as to which it is there. That's why I got a lease from the county and a lease from the city together for this property. And because they didn't want to go to the trouble of finding out which is which and where it's divided and everything. So I have a lease from both. The county commissioners yesterday approved everything I was trying to do down there, so.
How big is this facility?
24 by 24. Is the building that I'm going to put in. And then I have a set of stalks and then a place to lay a large animal down. In the county, we have no place to actually do any surgeries on large animals, even though we have veterinaries here. So this would be for any veterinary coming into the area to do work on a large animal, horse or cow or whatever. And this would provide a place for them to do that with no extra charge to the people or the vets, so we could keep our costs down.
And this is a permanent structure.
Yes. And that'd be going through the building permitting and all that.
So maybe our attorney can answer. So if what they're in the lease, I mean, the building reverts back to the city then, right?
That's the end of the lease?
Yeah. Or if they didn't want it, if it was never.
Typically, yeah, it would be, this situation, we'd have to figure out if it's on county or city property, but if it is city, then, yeah.
But it'd be 20 years from now.
I know, but I was just thinking that you'd be basically then putting a sewer service into our own.
Yeah, if it's on the city property, I think if we can confirm if it's on city, I don't have an issue with approving it.
No, not at all. I think it's a good idea.
Motion?
I think we motion to find out where the building is located for approval, or just want
Just approve the whole thing.
I think that's good.
let's approve it. I move to
I'm
approve
going to waive the fees.
I'll second.
it. Let's waive the fees.
Yeah.
Any discussion? John? Oh, maybe we lost John. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 4.
Yes, sir.
Can I say something on that, Dale?
Sure.
This sewer connection here that has 1750 in here, that property is actually located in the county. And so the county fees for connecting to the city's sewer system is actually higher than that.
Whoa.
Yes.
And just for clarification, now, was there a motion made?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm
Jeremy.
sorry.
Jeremy made the motion.
Okay, and who was the second?
Ken.
Okay, thank you.
So the 70/50 on there is,
Yes,
Not
that
correct.
that 1750 actually is a connection that we charge a city connection within the city limits. That property is actually located outside of the city limits. The city limits of the city of Ely is at basically Crawford Street. And so that property is located in the county.
So just for clarification, the recommendation going forward to the council is to waive the fees
Correct.
also?
Correct.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to make it clear that the fees are actually county fees.
thank you, Vicky.
Number 4, Councilman
Hold it.
Carter.
Public comment.
Oh, public comment. Forgot
Yes.
that. Sorry. Thanks, George.
You're quite welcome.
At least you're here to help us.
Yes. I don't want to let you down. I don't have a problem with you folks giving the will serve, but I do have a problem with the waiver. You haven't paid me for any of the corrections I've done on 681 Parker. You're discriminating. The fact that it's outside the city limits, you're throwing away approximately $3,000. I want my money. I don't have a problem with these folks hooking up, but everybody's got to pay their fair share. I've been paying for years and I'm just getting stonewalled. That's wrong. That's discrimination. I'll bring this up again. Thank you.
George. And now we move on to number 4, Councilman Carson. Discussion for possible action, recommendations for comments to be submitted on Robinson Lane expansion, draft environmental impact statement.
So the mine is looking for another support letter for their expansion. In your packet, you do have the last letter we sent off that I think is fairly appropriate and still justifiable. So any other comments would be appreciated.
I have some comments from the hydrologist. He said, I did give the RNMC Plan of Operations Amendment, DEIS, a cursory review. And this, again, this is from Alan Richards of Stetson Engineering, focusing on the proposed action's potential impacts on water resources. The proposed action would include extending the mine life an additional 4 years to 2028. I assume that means to December 31st, 2028, resuming and expanding mining in Liberty Pit, and resuming Liberty Pit dewatering. For the Liberty Pit dewatering operations, it is stated that RMC would, quote, reactivate existing pumping and piping facilities, including pumps and pipelines, to convey Liberty Pit water to the mill for use in the process circuit, end of quote. The proposed action would require additional dewatering of 137 to 202 acre-feet per year. The potential impacts to water resources, including Murray Springs, are identified in the DEIS by an area that is predicted to experience an incremental drawdown in the groundwater elevation of 10 feet or more as a result of groundwater pumping and dewatering activities associated with the proposed Liberty Pit mining expansion. The DEIS indicates that the maximum extent of the 10-foot drawdown will be limited to the Liberty Pit area with no surface waters or water rights impacted within 0.25 miles of its extent. Let's see. For the purpose of the negotiation committee's current efforts, extending the life of the mining operations from the end of 2024 to the end of 2028 in connection with the Liberty Pit mining expansion presumably would require extending dewatering operations of the RW7P well an additional 4 years, which would also extend the date that the Murray Springs recovery would commence by an additional 4 years. If this presumption is confirmed with RNMC, then it may be relevant information to consider in the water supply plan modification negotiations.
Any comments on that?
Frederick here, can I have a comment?
Yes, Frederick. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Fred.
Oh, okay, good, thank you. So I don't have a problem with the letter as is. That is the call of the utility board and the city of Ely. But I just want to provide a little bit of perspective. So whilst we are moving to go mine the Liberty Pit, we should all remember that at the point 2024, the Ruth Pit will stop mining. The good news for 7P is that once we stop mining in Ruth, we are stopping the dewatering of the 14,000 gallons that we are pumping today. We will only pump what is needed for the mill, which should be maybe between 5,000 to 8,000 gallons per minute. The Liberty Pit will only be pumping 120, 150 gallons per minute or less. So in terms of 7P coming back, the Murray coming back, this mine extension actually helps that goal. So I just want to put that out there, that it doesn't hurt 7P and 6P, it actually helps because we are getting out of mining the Ruth Pit that pumps 14,000 gallons a minute to only pumping all that is required by the mill, which is between 5,000 to 8,000 gallons per minute. So I just want to provide that perspective for everybody. So we should not be thinking that the extension of the mine life will further hurt Morris Springs coming back. It actually helps Morris Springs coming back because we will not be pumping as many as we are pumping today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Frederick. Any more comments?
Vice Chairman. I apologize, we are getting another microphone. I'd just like to bring to everyone's attention that under 5.3 coordinating agencies, says the BLM invited several federal, state, and local government agencies having jurisdiction or special expertise to become cooperating agencies. I'd just like to note that the city really is not listed. I think that's a problem.
You better repeat that, I can't hear you. You had a problem with that sound system, Mr. Chairman?
But she just said they were ordering new equipment. Has not arrived yet.
Line left to South Main Street.
What'd she say?
Proceed 1.1 miles
That's
south
the
South Main
computer.
Street.
Pretty sloppy.
So we have a motion to, do we need this? Do we need an action on this? Okay. We need a motion to approve or not?
Probably need some recommendations, what you'd like the comment letter to say.
But I thought Councilman Carson said that was pretty much.
We can add to it too, you know, Jennifer Lee did have a good point on what she just talked about too. Ask the city be listed in there too.
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Let's put that on there.
I agree with you.
Okay, motion as corrected, or did add it to, I guess.
Yeah, motion to add.
Second. Okay, motion to add that and approve it. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Aye.
Comment, George.
Do something with your sound system. How much did you pay anyway?
We'll go on to number 5. Councilman Carson, discussion for possible action. Review and discussion of written notice to request extension of assignment of lease of real property dated February 11, 2010 from Robinson, Nevada Mining Company to extend the lease additional 25 years to expire February 28, 2046. including review of contract terms and recommendations on the city's response to accept, reject, or amend the agreement and extensions.
In 1 mile, turn left.
This did come before us quite some time ago. Now it's getting ready to expire. It just kind of died there for a while because the city really wanted to take over the building for the water department. And the line did
In 1
kind of
mile,
entertain that motion, but we never could get them to commit to it. So I think John O'Flaherty had a great idea that maybe we could do the building agreement and the land agreement together to coincide so the city really could get the building for the water department. And I do think the 2046 deadline or expiration date is too long.
You've reached
I
your
think right now they're just pushing the line out to 2028, I think would be a more realistic number.
I agree. I agree. And in that, it will, for the life of the lease, that building will be occupied by the water department.
That would be my intent, to drop the lease that way.
Right. Yeah, I agree. If we amend that 2046 to 2028.
What is that, is the natural, what usually happens is they, every 2 or 3 or 4 years, they extend the mine. So if you put this out a little longer, you wouldn't have, it'd be one less thing to have to negotiate and pass.
I agree with that.
How much is the monthly, are we just doing a five?
It's $1,200 a year, I think, $100 a month. So if we did it for 10 years, or whatever you guys feel.
Yeah, I would feel better with 10 years than that.
At the same price.
Yes, I mean. Any other corrections to it?
The clarification that the building will be occupied during the life of the lease by the water department. Or in the, if we can add that.
Okay.
Did you have anything, John?
John, can you hear us?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have anything else you want to add on this lease of that building and land?
No, not really. I just think that coincides that both leases be enacted at the same time.
And 10 years is all right with you?
10 years is, I think, is a reasonable requirement.
Okay. So we have a motion to that effect with our corrections and additions?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Okay, second by Jeremy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's passed.
Aye.
Comments? George, no comments on that?
No, thank you.
Okay, we'll go to number 6, Councilman Carson. Discussion for possible action, recommendation to approve Stenson Engineering letter of engagement for continued engineering service not to exceed $30,000. Kurt?
So they have been working with us for quite some time, helping us out with the dewatering efforts. Not that we're protesting the mine's data or their hydrologist, but it just helps us get a clearer picture of what's happening in this basin with our water table. They are truly looking after what's going on here. And it, like I say, it is a big price tag, but I think it is worth it to do our homework as well.
Is there a time limit on the 30,000 or is it just
annual?
a dollar money amount?
I don't believe there is a time limit on there, is there?
No.
Just a dollar amount?
So we're building the crew.
Well, I think it's a good idea we have, the city has their own person giving us information.
I would agree.
As long as the budget can withstand it.
Well, I haven't talked to the treasurer about that, but we will tonight, probably, I bet.
Wondered if you think about that.
Oh, by the way,
We have a motion to approve.
I motion we approve.
I'll second.
Second motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. John.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, John. Comment, George?
No comment, but it'd be nice if you would allow public comment prior to taking a vote.
I don't know if we have to do that.
It's been done before.
Number 7, board member, city clerk Lee, discussion for possible action. Recommendation to increase lien filing fee to $74 due to White Pine County Recorder's fee schedule.
item is very straightforward. When a utility customer accrues enough to where the attorney has to lien their property because of non-payment, there is a lien filing fee with the county recorder's office that brings that to $37, and then if the balance is paid off, there's another $37 fee to release the lien. So this is what this is.
Pretty clear.
Discussion?
No discussion?
No, I move that we approve the increase.
All second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. George?
No comment, thank you.
Move to number 4, City Havili Departments, Board members. Jeremy?
Nothing to report.
Ken?
Nothing, sir.
John, you have anything?
Nothing to report.
Dale has nothing. Councilman Carson?
No report.
We have the information from Public Works, Water, Sewer, Landfill. Nothing else? Okay. City Attorney?
Nothing to report.
City Treasurer? City Engineer?
You guys have a report in case you have any questions on that.
And Jennifer Lee? Okay, nothing from the city clerk. Okay, move on to the second public comment. George?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I left off in regards to the numerous RVs squatters throughout the city. I also asked about Keith Carson having a special permit to put this RV in his trailer park. I want to remind you that the worst thing we've got going for us is selective enforcement and that building inspector. Your selective enforcement of the law is causing locals to go out of business. The Appasetti Trailer Park is up for sale. That woman cannot make enough money to survive. She spent $19,000 or more fighting the city, yet you're selectively enforcing the law. There's other trailer parks that have RVs in them, and then you've got the variety from one end of the city to the other of RVs in the street or just across the street. 2 of them are parked. How do you do that in a commercial area? The selective enforcement's got to stop. You give me citations or my tenants, and you expect me to just sit there when you have stupid staff that are not doing their job?
George.
You're causing me heartburn.
George, that's a
You're
personal
causing
attack.
me heartburn.
No personal
Correct
attacks.
it.
Okay?
I don't care who corrects it, correct it. Enough is enough.
Okay. I'm asking you to correct no personal attacks. It's specific.
I'll do a lot more than that. All I'm saying, and I'm not using any names, I'm not using any names, and don't interrupt me. Mr. Chairman, NRS 281 forbids public employees and or officials from having preference of buying or selling public property. I want to know where that 490 linear feet of 16-inch steel pipe went. Again, there's something wrong. Account for it or resign. One of the two, I don't care which.
George, this
I
is
need the money.
repetitious. You brought it up at every meeting for the
What's
last
that?
3 months.
Did you find
It's
it?
repetitious.
Did you find it, sir?
This is repetitious.
Did you find it? Yes or no?
George, either go,
You need to answer the
no,
question.
you need to follow the rules.
Mr. Chairman,
If you don't have the
the
rules,
city
you
is
can
getting
forfeit your
reimbursed.
right to talk.
Account for the questions. You haven't answered
No,
them.
you're repetitious.
Answer the question. That's all. I want to remind you that you haven't reimbursed me for the expenditure that I incurred procuring the sewer problem at 681 Parker. The crew had to come down and route that line again just recently. When does it end? As of this date, you owe me $7,766.31, and that includes the interest. We got to put a stop to this, Mr. Chairman. At the December 10th meeting of the Utility Board, Mr. Allworth brought up the fact that you had collected from from the golf course, 111 million gallons of water. How did that happen? I want that money collected. I want to see if there's any penalties or interest. And I want no discrimination in any of the building. I don't care who it is. You're putting people out of business, and yet you're looking the other way for an entity that has plenty of money. They get thousands just from the Fair and Rec Board. Mr. Chairman, numerous previous utility board meetings and council meetings I've asked for, and I'm asking again.
Thank you, George.
I want some answers, Mr. Chairman.
We're down to the number 6, adjournment. This meeting is adjourned. Next meeting.
Thank you, guys. Sorry for big in and out.
Thanks, John. You did a good job.
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chachis reporting.